Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back. This is Steven Worldwide. It's been a while since I did an update on my Steven Worldwide channel. The last update I did was last year, sometime in November. I made an update just about my life of living in Japan and teaching English, and I moved into a new apartment, and that's where I am right now, just recording on my computer to give you some updates of what's going on in my life, and yeah, just to make a new video. It's been a while. So, a couple things. I'm still here in the same place. I'm still living in Tokyo. Technically Saitama, but one station away from Tokyo in Saitama. So, Akabane is a big station in Tokyo on the north end, and I'm one station away from that. You cross the river and it becomes Saitama, and my rent is a lot cheaper just to live one station 2 minutes away outside of Tokyo. So, this is a great apartment. If you check my channel, you can see a video video tour where I walk around the apartment, and I'm paying almost the same rent as I was paying for 3 years when I was living in the heart of Tokyo in a station called by a train station called Gotanda Station, which just was an excellent location. I could get to work in like 18 minutes, door to door like 25 minutes. And now, door to door to where I work now, it's like 45 minutes door to door. So it's about 15 to 20 minutes further away, but I'm saving a lot of money. I have a big apartment and very happy. So I'll try to do this video without any cuts or editing. I just want to make the video and then upload it to my channel. So I wrote down some notes of things to talk about. Just a couple things. My living situation, I'm very happy in this apartment, and I have a girlfriend. I'm living with my girlfriend in this apartment, and everything's going great with that. Very happy, and we just enjoy doing a lot of activities here in Japan, and we'll probably make some moves in the future. Maybe next year we'll probably be moving to a different location in Japan, and I'll be excited to make a video and just to update you as to where I'm moving to in Japan. So I plan to stay in Japan for at least a few more years, but I'm kind of tired of Tokyo. I've been here for almost 5 years now, and 5 years is enough for me. Tokyo's great. There's tons of things to do here. There's so much going on in Tokyo, but that's just something that I don't care that much about anymore. You know, when you live somewhere cool, you don't care about all the tourist things that are there. You kind of just settle into your life and just do the things that you enjoy doing. And there's so many things in Tokyo, as I mentioned. You have all these cool stations of things to do. You have Shibuya and Shinjuku. You have Meguro and Nakameguro, and you have Odaiba. You have what else? Ueno. You have things like the Tokyo Tower and Skytree and Asakusa, and all these cool things and places to go in Tokyo, but like I visit them maybe once a year. I go to Shinjuku or Shibuya to meet friends sometimes. To be honest, I hate going to Shibuya. It's just packed with people and it's just crazy. So basically, Tokyo is so crowded. It's such a crowded city that I don't enjoy living here, and I don't want to live here anymore. I felt the same way when I was living in Seoul, Korea. Seoul is an awesome city, and there's so many cool things to do there as well, but I just don't like the crowds and the routine of just walking among thousands of people all the time, packing into the subway car, going to your job, walking up and down packed subway stairs and escalators, and just I'm much happier in a smaller city where you have a routine and you have some nice places to go and cool things to do in a smaller city too. You just don't have 25 or 30 things to choose from. You just have maybe 5 to 10 things to choose from, and that's fine with me. So I'm looking at moving to a smaller city next year. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but because of the COVID-19, the pandemic, it was really more risky than usual to quit my job and to move to a different city. So I haven't really, I put it off, and I stayed in Tokyo, I would have stayed in Tokyo an extra 2 to 2.5 years because of this COVID pandemic making things difficult for everyone in my job. So that's where I stand with that. I'm happy here where I am right now. My job. All right, so my job situation is the same. I found a great company And I've been working at the same English teaching job for the past 4.5 years. I can't believe I've been at the same ESL job for 4.5 years, going on 5 years. My contract will renew again in November. I say that, with hopes that it will renew again. Every year you don't know. And this is just the lifestyle of working in ESL. You never know if you'll be asked to come back every year. Unless you're working at a very secure place or a place where the manager loves you so much, doesn't want to deal with hiring anybody else. I don't have that situation in Japan. And if you look back on the videos that I made when I first came to Japan, I made a lot of videos at my first job. I made maybe 20, 25 videos the first year I was living in Japan. One of the big differences with living in Korea and teaching in Korea and Japan is in Japan, I just don't feel secure with my job. You never know if they want to keep you when your contract is up. In Japan, legally, you are not considered a full-time, or you're not considered a company employee until 5 years after you work for the company. You're considered a temporary worker for the company for the first 5 years, and then the company decides to keep you. I just think that's crazy. 5 years? You got to work 5 years for a company before they consider you a permanent employee? How about 1 or 2 years? How about that? I mean, if you stay after 1 year, you want to work with the company, right? Now, in Japan, they want you to work for the company for 30 or 40 years. It's like 50 years ago here. So they're just conservative, and just the way things were 50 years ago, a lot of it is still the same here. People start working for a company directly out of college, and they stay there for 30 or 40 years and then retire. That's like 90% of the people that I meet and I teach English to. They work for the same company. They just jump around to different jobs and departments within the same company. There's not a lot of movement from company to company like there is now in the rest of the world. So where do I work? So what kind of job do I have? I'm teaching mainly adults. I'm teaching English to professionals, businessmen, businesswomen, some people that are like senior citizens that just want to keep up their English even though they don't need it in their life. Professionals that use English when they do emailing, or they do video or Zoom meetings with other branches of their company in, say, New York or LA or Singapore or Shanghai, any of these other international cities. And then I'm teaching kids too as well. I'm teaching kids and teens. But the difference is I'm in a small room that I'm teaching one-to-one. So I'm teaching kids, just one kid in the room, just one teenager, one adult. That's what it's like. So if you're familiar with South Korea, think of these companies like YBM or Pagoda. I work for a company that's similar to that. I have that kind of a job where I'm not teaching in a school, I'm not teaching school kids, but I'm working for a company, a language learning, and I'm in a language learning center where people are customers, and they pay for the service of coming in, sitting with me for a lesson, and just improving their English for whatever purposes that they need it for. And it's been the same company for 4.5 years, as I said. Because of what I've been through in Japan, I don't want to say my company's name. I don't want to reveal that. I just feel like my first job, I didn't get rehired from my university job that I had when I first came to Japan, because I make these YouTube videos. That's basically it. I told somebody in the company that works for the company that I'm a YouTube blogger, and they before that they had offered me a job to come back. 2 weeks after I told somebody that I make YouTube videos, I got an email saying, sorry, there's no job for you. And that was the only thing that changed. So I just don't want to give too much detailed personal information just to keep things safe. Making this YouTube blog and sharing my life, it doesn't give any benefit to me. I love the comments, and even though my videos are years old now, people still find my channel, people still leave me comments, and it pops up on my phone, and I love responding and helping people. People ask me questions about teaching ESL, and I'm so happy to see them and respond to them. And most of the, if not, I can't say all, but 99% of the positives of the comments are very positive and friendly, and I like that. And one of the reasons why I made this channel was to help people, to give people information so that they can decide if teaching overseas is helpful, is useful for them, or would be right for them, and just to give them some ideas of what to expect when they come here. That's why I did it. What else is there? Let's see. Happy teaching at my job. I am getting a little bit bored with this job, and I get bored after just 1 or 2 years of working at the same job. The reason I'm staying with this company in particular is there's a few reasons why. Number one, my schedule is different every day. So our customers, they buy a big package of lessons, and then they can go online and click on the calendar and the time and schedule their lesson times, whenever they're free. So they do that during the week, and every day I check my email, I get a new schedule, and the time slots and the students, it's always different. And I like the variety of that. It's a different classroom. Sometimes it's a different language center in a different part of Tokyo. And I don't teach the same students every day. It's like once a week I'll see the same student. And you get new students all the time, so I like the variety in that. Is really cool. I work near Tokyo Station, and it's cool going to, Otemachi, Nihonbashi, Yuracho. These are areas that are, this is kind of like the financial center of Tokyo, the Wall Street, if you will. So it's cool to just go to that area every day for working, and it's convenient to hop on the train and get home. So life is pretty comfortable right now. There's no reason for me to jump to another company. I don't make that much money, even though my lessons are very expensive. The company's not cheap that I work for, but I don't see that money. I just get a little bit. So I could be making a lot more money per hour, and for teaching ESL, that's what you want. You want to make the most money you can per hour with your time, basically. I was doing that in Korea, and I'm not doing that so much here. I'll talk about that later, but as for now, the company has pretty good side benefits and perks. For example, my managers have been really kind and laid back, and that cannot be taken for granted based on the jobs I've had in my life. Flexible. If I need a day off, let's just say the next day or 2 days ahead of time or next week or next month, I can just ask for it, and the answer is usually yes, to use one of my vacation days or even a sick day. If you're sick and you can't really teach English, you're supposed to call in sick, right? And when you call in sick in the morning of the day you're supposed to come in and teach, it really screws everything up because you're on the schedule and they have to bring other teachers in to cover your lessons. And I teach 10 lessons every day, 40-minute lessons. So that screws up the whole day. And some teachers have breaks during the day. They lose those breaks because they have to cover my lessons. So the amount of times that I've called in sick on my teaching day, 0. I've never done that, and I'll never do that unless it's an emergency. I'll never do that to any other teacher and have them lose their breaks just to cover for me. But one of the perks is the day before the schedule comes out, so let's say noon or 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., I can tell my manager, I'm not feeling very well and I'd like to take tomorrow off. I just don't feel well and I want to lay in my bed tomorrow and recover. Managers usually say, all right, thanks for letting me know. And they keep me off the schedule and I get a sick day the next day. That's pretty cool. And it doesn't affect anybody else. The schedule gets made with me just having a sick day. So that kind of flexibility with the company I work for is really great. What are some other perks of the company? Just it's a big company and my contract guarantees that I'll have 10 lessons every day. And that's good and bad. It's bad in that, I'm a slave. I have to teach 10 English lessons every day and it wipes you out. This job isn't for everybody. Like a school teacher usually goes in at, let's just say 8 in the morning and you're done at 3 or 4, right? Well, I have my lessons start at 8:30. And then my last lesson, I'm done around 6:30. And that's a long day. That's like a 9-hour day. And I get little 5-minute breaks between those lessons. But when you say goodbye to your student, you don't run out when the bell rings. You got to say goodbye to your student, assign some homework, ask for questions. Maybe your student has a question for you, so you can't run out of the door. You're left with 2 minutes left before the next lesson. So I just get during the day, I have a couple 40-minute lesson times that I have off. So I get a couple breaks. If I'm lucky, I'll have two together where I'll have an hour and a half off where I can have my lunch, whatever. But it's a long time during the day that I'm at the company. So that part's not great. But the good part is they're guaranteed to pay me for 10 lessons every day. And if it's busy, I have 10 lessons every day. There's 10 students that are coming in. Or let's just say 10 lessons, could be 5 students. One student is taking 2 lessons or 3 lessons, but my 10 lesson schedule is full. And if I'm really lucky, it's not very busy. So I'll have like 6 lessons, and then I'll have 4 or maybe 7 lessons in 3 office times, 3 breaks that I get paid for, but there's no students there because it's not that busy and there's a lot of teachers that have to get paid. So it's not the same every day, and that's what I like about the job. So it's low pay, but it's very flexible, and that's the compromise that I make. The other thing is in Japan, and this is a big difference from Korea and Japan with teaching English. In Japan, you have to have a full-time job all the time. If you don't have a full-time job, and you, let's just say, have a part-time teaching job, you have to pay for your own medical insurance, and it's very expensive. So in Korea, I had a contract working for a school that was a hagwon that was just 4 hours in the day. And most people know how the Korean ESL jobs work. The hagwons, or the private academies, cram schools as it's called in Japan, they're usually after school, and it's anywhere between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. But you might just work, let's say, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. or like 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. But it's just about 4 or 5 or maybe 6 hours. And you get paid full time, and you have your full medical insurance, and you're covered. And whatever else you do, sometimes you have the whole morning free. Whatever else you do it's your time. You do whatever you do. You do whatever you want to do. Of course, teaching privately is not legal in Korea, but a lot of people take cash jobs, and they do that. In Japan, I just don't have the time to do that. I have a lot of videos, if you check my channel, of how in Korea you can maximize the money that you make as an English teacher. You find yourself a job that has the lowest, it takes up the lowest amount of time during the day, and the rest of the day you find private teaching job. I teach you how to do that in some of my videos down below. And I hope to do that in Japan, but it didn't work out that way with this company. I have to be there for 9 hours out of the day. There's not much time left, and I don't have much energy left to do anything else. So it's a trade-off. I'm living safely and comfortably in Japan. My medical expenses, or I don't mean medical expenses, my medical coverage is paid for by the company, and I don't have to worry about anything, but my pay is kind of low, and I'm kind of trapped and complacent in this safe teaching job. So I can't complain, but I'm thinking about the future, and maybe next year I'll force a change and I'll look for a different company. But ideally, I'd like to keep this job with this company and work in a different city. This company is big enough where there's offices all over Japan. And just go down to maybe 4 lessons a day, or part-time at this company, and find some other work. I just don't know if I'll do that because the public healthcare system, you're forced to do it in Japan. You have to do it. Either you pay for it yourself, which is very expensive, like $1,000 a month, or you find a full-time job that covers it, but you have to work 8, 9, maybe even 10 hours. You have to be at the company every day. So I haven't found a place that will cover me and pay my medical insurance where it's only 4 hours or 5 hours a day like I found in Korea. Haven't found that yet, because in Japan, working 8, 9 hours a day is what they want everybody in society to do here. So that's one of the differences. In Korea, you're a little bit more free in that case, in that sense. All right, let's see. What else can I talk about? My living situation I covered, my job. I get a lot of questions about ESL teaching in Japan and Korea. And to be honest, I'm not really up to date. I'm not I haven't really been looking on Dave's ESL Cafe or in blogs or forums about teaching. I don't know what kind of stuff has changed or information has changed or what people are making. I can't imagine that the pay has gone up a lot because just economically around the world, things have not been growing, they've been declining. We've had a lot of uncertainty with the COVID-19, and now we have these conflicts in, the Russia, Ukraine conflict that's going on right now, and things going on with China and Taiwan. That just there's uncertainty in the world, and ESL is not, even though ESL is growing, people are not traveling and like to other countries, and it's hard for companies and schools to find international teachers because of restrictions from traveling. And so I don't think the pay has gone up much. It's probably the same as it was 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago, but the cost of living has gone up. Actually, that's one of the funny things. Right now in Japan, things are cheap here. Because of the crazy inflation in America and the cost of gas going up like crazy in America, Japan used to be very expensive because 20 years ago they priced things so high so that inflation wouldn't really be a factor until later. Now things are cheap here. And for example, I just heard that if you go to a Japanese restaurant in America, like a restaurant that serves udon, if you get a bowl of udon noodles with some like curry udon or something, the equivalent is like it's like $20, or the charge is like $20 in America, and in Japan it's $2 or $3. Like that's one of the differences. So Japan is not so expensive anymore. Living costs are still kind of high, but when you're shopping for food and stuff like that, the prices now in Japan are right as where everything is elsewhere, if not cheaper. So that's an interesting thing, how the yen has gotten low and inflation and the American dollar has gone high, that things are actually economically more affordable in Japan, at this time at least. What are some other things? I get some questions about like comparing Japan to Korea. My students always ask me, what's the difference between living in Japan and living in Korea? Or did you like living in Korea more than Japan? And I'm very careful with this question because I don't want to insult anybody. Everybody thinks that their country is the best country. So I found out in the past, if I'm honest, honesty is not the best policy. Being honest is not always the best idea. So I just withhold certain information and my feelings about things, and I'm general. And I'll be that way with this video too. So in general, I enjoyed living and teaching in Korea more than Japan. Big surprise, right? And I didn't understand that until I lived in Japan. So basically in Korea, I had more freedom than I do in Japan. And to me, freedom is the most important thing in my life. Being free to make my own choices and to have options of the way I want to craft my lifestyle. It feels like I had that more in Korea. But I'm happy living in Japan. I'm not in a hurry to run back to Korea and start teaching again in Korea because I like teaching adults. Right now I have a mix of 80% adults, 10% kids, and 10% teenagers, and it's 1-to-1. My biggest group is 2 or 3 others, a class of 3 in one room. That's it. If you go to Korea, either you teach at university, which is very hard to get, as I said in my other videos, because you're competing with 100 other resumes and people with doctorates that are trying to get a teaching English 101. So that's one of the reasons I left Korea. It's just too hard to get away from teaching a class of 10 to 15 kids. And I did that for 8 years. It was enough. So I'm happy teaching with this company in Japan. So I'm happy staying here. But in Korea, as I said, I made double the money and my bills were half as much. In Japan, I'm making half the money I made in Korea and my bills are more. So living in this apartment with my girlfriend, we share costs. It's very affordable now, but that's one of the reasons I liked living in Korea. In Korea, when you work for the school or the hagwon, the academy, assuming the manager is nice and everything is normal and fine. You're not working for a terrible school or a blacklisted school. The manager will help you, besides making good money and having a decent apartment, you get a free apartment. Number one, you get a free apartment. Your taxes are low. Your medical insurance is low, and it's good quality. If you have an accident, they'll take care of you well. And in Korea, you're treated as a guest. You're not expected to speak Korean. You're not expected to eat kimchi and know about Korean culture. And if you do, that's a bonus. And you're just treated like a guest, an English teacher that's come to Korea. They're happy to have you in that capacity. And you have some freedoms in Korea of things that you can do. And if you need help getting, let's say, opening up a bank account, getting a smartphone, a lot of the times the manager of the school, even on a Saturday or Sunday, will drive you around in the beginning and get you set up and help you out with that. That was my experience. Not so in Japan. In Japan, you're a little bit more on your own. So in Japan, you work for your school and they offer to help you in the beginning. And they might help you get your bank account set up, usually with JP Post. And they might help you get set up with a phone, but not all the time. And if you need help on a Saturday or in the evening time, they're not really available there to help you out. And you're a guest in Japan and teach English, but they kind of treat you like, you need to speak Japanese. You need to assimilate into Japanese culture. And there's not a lot of options for you to do outside of your teaching job if you don't speak Japanese and if you're not into the culture or anything like that. So you're kind of on your own. And it's just a different feeling that I had here. The culture in Japan is, a lot of things are the same with Korea and Japan, but in Japan, they just have this very strict code, and it just goes back thousands of years, right? They just have a totally different code that has developed, code or way of thinking that has developed in Japan that's different than the other Asian countries, and it's very strict, and just different formalities are expected of you, and I just don't really fit in here that well, to be totally honest. In Korea, I felt like I could just be myself. I can just be this fun, laid-back, happy-go-lucky American guy who loves helping people who need help. I love teaching English and just enjoying the cultural things. In Japan, I'm not really liked for that. Like, it's not really, I want to say it's not really tolerated, but like, I can't really be myself in Japan without worrying about losing my job or pissing people off or anything like that. And I'm not like a wild, crazy, drunken asshole guy that some teachers are that I've seen. I'm just, like I said, I'm a happy, fun, laid back guy. But if I try to say hi to a stranger and just say, how's your day today, whatever, people look at you like you're crazy. And that's just who I am. I'm naturally just a nice person who's an outgoing person. And I just know that that's like 10% of the population. I know 90% of people are introverts and don't say hi to any strangers and avoid confrontation, whatever. And that's not my style. And I'm not saying I like to confront people, but I just like to say hi and be friendly. And that's being sucked out of me living in Japan. People just don't talk to strangers here. People are just not friendly to strangers. And you have to fit in to their society and their code, and it just doesn't really fit my lifestyle or the way I want to live. I just want to be free to be who I am, who I grew up to be at this point, but I feel like I have to fit in here and I have to walk in step with everybody else. And in Korea, it was like that a little bit, but less so. In Korea, I didn't have to worry about losing my job if I was just this friendly guy that was teaching kids and making English fun for them. In Japan, it's different. You got to worry about losing your job if you're not doing everything exactly the way that they want you to do it. So that's a basic difference from living in Japan and living in Korea for me as an English teacher. So take that for what it is. I don't know if that applies to you if you're trying to decide between Korea and Japan. And if you want to decide where to teach, I will always tell you, go to Korea. start in Korea. Korea is the best place to begin teaching ESL, in my opinion. I don't know about China or Vietnam or Taiwan or Thailand or any of these other Asian places, places in Asia to countries in Asia to teach English or ESL. And I don't even know about teaching in schools that much in Japan. I did have a part-time job teaching at high school, and that paid really well. So that's actually a pretty decent job. If you get a high paying, and by high paying I mean the equivalent of 30 or 40 or even $50 for a lesson teaching in a school. Take that in Japan. So that's what I had. I had a part-time thing on the side teaching in high schools that only lasted 1 year, because after the year was done, they found another teacher that didn't have a full-time job like me that can just teach all the time. My schedule didn't allow that. If that's the case, then yeah, take it. But other than that, Korea, you get the most money and your bills are very cheap, and you have some freedom in that you're only teaching half the day. You have a lot of free time to do whatever you want, explore different places in Korea, different food. You're treated fairly well, and I know that's debatable. There's a lot of foreigners that have a problem with in Korea. You know, if you're not a white American teacher like me, then you might have some difficult time living in Korea. I understand that. I've made a video on my channel about like racism in Korea and just general thoughts about foreigners in Korea. I've done that video already. I'm not going to get into that here. Japan, it's a little bit more international. You're kind of accepted more. It's not weird if you're a teacher who's not a white male from America, for example. So that might be that might be a problem for you teaching in Korea. But I always recommend Korea because their culture is built for needing English teachers. These kids start at kindergarten, from kindergarten until high school. Parents pay a lot of money for their kids to get English teaching, and that's where you come in. That's where schools hire a native English speaker because they think it's very important for the development of their kids' English, for the main purpose of getting a high score on the TOEIC test so that they can get a job. That's basically it. Whereas the English I'm teaching now are for mostly for adults that need to use English in their business, and I kind of like that. It's not for a TOEIC test. It's actually to improve their careers. All right, so yeah, we're over 30 minutes now. I hope you enjoy this time investment for me just to give you this update. I'm only doing 1, maybe 2 videos a year, so I'm not promising any more because I have 3 YouTube channels now, and I guess I'll just talk a little bit about that. So I have 3 YouTube channels now. Steven Worldwide, this is my channel about traveling and teaching ESL and my general lifestyle, things that I'm doing. And I started another channel last year, 16 months ago, and this is more of a financial channel. So I want to retire with some kind of passive income that's coming in. I want to have some income in the future and start now. So I found an opportunity that involves Forex trading. And I don't know how to trade myself, but I see videos on YouTube. There's lots of videos that you can find about trading. And there's programs or software, there's things that you can do that can help the average person make money and learn how to trade successfully without losing a ton of money. You can find people all over YouTube that are making like 1% every week on their money, and let's just say that they'll trade like $3,000 and just get 1% every month or every week on that, and that's pretty good because if you put your money in the bank, you might get 1% per year, but these people are earning 1% per week, and I'm too lazy to do that myself. I don't know how to do that myself, but I found a company that does it for you. So I have a company that I'm a customer of, and my account is just growing and growing and growing over time, and I'll have a passive income. Right now, I'm earning like anywhere between 80 and $100 a week. My account is growing, and I'm not doing anything. I just set it up last year, and it's just growing and growing. And I make a YouTube channel where I update how much my account is growing with that. So I'll put links below if you're interested in anything financial, if you'd like to take a look at this passive income that I found. I'll put that in the description. That's my second channel. Every week I just make a 5 to 10 minute update about my experience with that company. And that's enough about that. My third channel I recently started about a month or 2 months ago. And that is my other passion that I love doing, that I've really gotten into since I've been living in Japan, and that is collecting fragrances, perfume, cologne. If you look back on this channel, I started doing a couple reviews of cologne that I was interested in. And I realized that the audience, the subscribers I have on Steven Worldwide are more interested in ESL and traveling, Japan, Korea, that kind of thing. They're probably not very interested in knowing about, Bulgari Aqua Pour Homme or Chanel, Bleu de Chanel or Dior Sauvage or all this stuff. But I just love the whole hobby of collecting and reviewing and talking about fragrances. So I made a separate channel for that. So that's my third YouTube channel. And in Japan, I have a really unique opportunity with that hobby. Because Japan, and also Korea, but because Japan does not really consider perfume and fragrance as a thing, it's actually kind of rude to wear cologne out in public. People think it's rude that you're disturbing people with your scent, right? That's an advantage to me because there are some amazing old, rare, vintage, discontinued, and really valuable cologne and perfume and fragrances that are available in Japan, brand new in stores or on the secondhand market, things that are being resold that nobody's buying and nobody cares about or knows about. And here I can buy something for like $20 that's worth hundreds in USA. So I'm buying these things and it's just amazing to me, and people in the hobby would love to see it. So I thought to myself, I've been doing this for years, just amazing myself. How about making videos and showing other people what I'm doing? So that's my third channel, is my hobby of collecting rare and vintage fragrances. And my hope for that, my dream for that in the future, 5 years from now, for example, when I go back to America, is to open up an online store and just to sell all this stuff that I'm collecting here. Of course, some of it I'm wearing cologne too every day. I have enough to wear 2 different colognes every day of the year if I wanted to. So people talk about scent of the day. That's the scent, that's the cologne that they're wearing that day, as if they have many of them. I should have the scent of the hour. But yeah, so that's those are my 3 YouTube channels. I'll put links down below if you want to subscribe. That would be great. Really appreciate that and the support. I love that. So that's basically it. I think that's all for this update. I told you about what's going on with my life professionally. I'm still teaching English for a company, and my activities. I have a girlfriend, and I'm living with her, and we're doing things together. And my other activities, I'm doing YouTube channels. I'm doing the other 2, the financial one and the cologne one, the fragrance one. I'm doing those weekly. This one, not so much. But if I'm inspired to, as always, I'll put an update up for you, maybe shorter than 40 minutes. I have one more video I'm going to do in my mind. I'm going to do this video next. I hiked Mount Fuji yesterday, and I would love to tell you about my experience. That might be a 10-minute video, but this is mainly a positive video. I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm doing well in Japan. The Mount Fuji hike is going to be a negative video, not for kids. I might drop a couple F-bombs in that because it was not a great experience. So I thought I would make a positive video first and then do the negative video second. So let's see when I put that video up. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for coming back if you found the video. Leave me comments. I do see them. If you have any questions about teaching ESL or anything specific, hopefully I can find the answer. If not, I'll just tell you. But looking forward to what comes next for the rest of this year, 2022. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying your life like I am. And stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.